Chapter 8: Harassment and the Reveal of True Colors. Before I get into the harassment that CancerChaser committed after I cut him off for good, I need to mention the conclusions of the Super NES launch party and New York Comic Con 2017, the event surrounding the incident where CC was trying to get me to leave my job for the purposes of getting me into his home without trying to compromise or ask for proof. Proof which I provided at the end of the chapter. The Super NES launch turned out good for me. I left the night before the wristband distribution to secure my place in line. I was around 50-60 place in line. I actually tried to sleep in the line but failed. Had a bunch of naps but I actually got insomnia. 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, the store put out a tweet that the wristbands were going to distribute it early, 2:15 Eastern Standard Time to be exact. When I saw this tweet, someone in front of me went away and I had to message him to come back ASAP. He did return fortunately. Both us did get wristbands, but around 5 people behind us, there were people cutting the line there. Wristbands were abruptly ended there. The store put out a tweet that they ran out. The commotion over the wristbands was very huge to the point that police was called. I was told by the people from the store to leave the area for safety concerns. I went to the nearby Starbucks. The situation did resolve itself. Everything about the situation with the wristbands is covered here.
Oh my god, Jacob, explain what happened.
Boing. Okay, so I was around 50th in line, and about 10 to 20 spots behind me, just a bunch of people just cut the line as soon as they started giving out the wristbands. So after it got me 10 down, there was just yelling and all this stuff, and the managers giving out the wristbands were just like, no, can't do this anymore. We don't know who's supposed to be in line. And so they just went back into the store, and it was hectic. And I just left the situation to, I didn't want to be a part of that.
At this point, managers are inside. They can't hand out any more wristbands. They don't know what is happening. A whole group of angry people, some that cut the line, some that didn't, all swarm in right into the Nintendo store, right there. They're right in that area when you walk in. They literally start to surround the 2 managers. It's getting a little hostile. We can hear yelling and arguing from inside. Eventually, one police officer shows up, tries to simmer it down. Everyone's demanding for a wristband at this point. A few minutes after that, we get about 5 or 6 other cops that go in there and they tell everyone, you have to leave. You have to get out of the store. Unless you're a legitimate customer, you have to get out of the store. Now, the police and a few of the managers come out of the store and they tell everyone online that you have to clear it out. It's become unsafe. They can't do it anymore. So everyone all the way down the block that got a wristband or not had to leave. They did end up handing out all 150 of the wristbands eventually, but it took a while to do so.
The rest of the night went well. I had fun at the party, and I was able to purchase my Super NES Classic at midnight. Played for 30 minutes in home, and fell asleep after 30 minutes. As for the connections, it did not amount to very much initially. I did get some help with some more volunteer employment and a short paid gig. I did get invited to some Facebook groups. The meetups were okay, a few seminars, one of which was in regards to selling on Amazon. I worked at a TV festival that I received a job opportunity at one of those connection meetups. Even though I did came up empty-handed, I did get a few more jobs on my resume. And given that I got hired very recently, I think those meetups were very handy. So in the long run, it was worth it. I attended the crew orientation of NYCC 2017 and received shirts in my bench. There was traffic and I checked my phone and found that CancerChaser called me earlier, but I did not receive the call because I blocked him shortly after I cut ties with him. Here is a screen cap of it. Notice that there is a blue no symbol next to it, compared to the others that have none. This is one instance of the harassment after our most recent falling out. It will get worse later. New York Comic Con 2017 was amazing for me. Met some new friends and many cosplayers that were amazing. I only had some hours to enjoy the convention, but they were good. Most of my time was spent working. I was able to meet a celebrity who played a character I loved as a child. His photo was expensive and it took days for me to think it over, but I went with it because I felt he was worth. I think it took so long because I did not know his price. Once did, it took the next day for me to get the selfie. First day of working was great, but I was immensely nervous. I managed a room filled with parents with their kids. The next day I looked over another room with fellow coworkers. The next 2 days I did photo ops. I scanned photo ops of attendees so they can get their digital versions of the photos they took with their respective celebrities. I found this con to be very enjoyable overall. But my anxiety stayed consistently high. However, hours after the convention was over, my phone kept shutting down randomly. The battery was inconsistent. A few days later, it would jump from charging at 50% to sudden 100%. Then drop to 67% a minute later. Another instance is when I had a portable charger charging and I actually saw the battery decrease in real time by the second. Eventually, my phone stopped working effectively. It would turn off right after a full charge and display 0 or 50%. It was that inconsistent, unstable, and unusable. So my phone broke again. This time it was different. When I broke my phone last time, it was due to impact damage. After that, I took better care of my phone, learning from last time. The way it was broken this time was completely different. Next day after my phone kept going on and off, I took it for repairs. They could not do anything about it because the battery has expanded. The heat from the phone being used/charged caused the battery to expand. And apparently the battery liquids have spread over the phone. So it was time to get a new one. Around the next week, I got a new phone to replace my now broken one. Going forward, I would turn the phone off more often and not leave it charged overnight anymore. So I made the phone account transfer process after I got my new phone. Shortly after the phone transfer was completed, I got a phone call from a number I did not recognize completely immediately. I picked up the phone and it was CancerChaser. Apparently, CC's number got unblocked when my new phone details got transferred. There is no way I would even think about unblocking him at all. Especially after CC got in the way of my livelihood for his selfish pleasure. He called in through sheer luck and timing. 9. CancerChaser in aggressive, hostile tone said yeah and asked if I really thought that he only thinks for himself. I was caught on the spot and not being prepared to deal with stupid nonsense from invasive harassers like CC. I was trying to move on with my life and focus on important matters. CC is the one who called my number to harass me after I told him that I wished to never speak to him again. This is an invasion of my life from CC. In my unguarded state of mind, I replied yes. He told me the following quote and hung up. Go F yourself. This is clear-cut harassment. CC called my number for the sake of giving verbal abuse. Is there any indication that I did not truly mean what I said when he was selfish? This was weeks later. I did not call him at all afterwards, nor did I send him any texts to that number. I wanted nothing to do with him. I filter what I say very often and never called him selfish until he finally made me choose between him or my job. His self-awareness is almost non-existent. There is no way in any time period after the texts I sent him that I would change my mind about him only caring for himself. Even though I was unprepared, I did mean what I said through text and what I reiterated over the phone. And it has never changed nor will it ever. What kind of person starts asking emotional manipulating questions when they are told that the other person has a job and cannot help at that time? How many forwarding emails have I ever done for him? How many times has he returned the favor for me when I asked for gaming companionship? I should have shouted at him over the phone, hung up, then blocked the number. Now going back to the time he tried to call me on October 4th and his call got blocked. Notice the 7th symbol on the top left corner of the screenshot. It is a no SIM card sign. It came from the source phone of the transfer. So not only is this evidence that CC tried calling me for harassment, but also proof that a phone transfer did indeed happen. Not to mention, the calls on the log, which shows usage, proving the transfer further. So it is not a convenient excuse to why I suddenly unblocked him. That has to be done manually on the same phone, and highly unlikely accident. Here is a clearer example of the no SIM card sign. Rather than trying to call him back for his leisure of talking over me and hanging up, I sent him an email to give him one last warning, to try to get him out of my life. This is the email and his reply to it. Contact me again in any way again and I will alert the authorities. Leave me alone. I don't ever want to see or talk to you again. Stop calling my number or the police will respond. I need to emphasize that this email was the last time I have ever tried to contact him. I have never sent him any messages to him after this. No email, phone calls, text messages, or anything like that. Nothing. I never ever said a word to him in real life after I cut him off, either. To this date I made sure to never talk to him ever again on my end. And I will do the same. Very interesting reply. Stating that he would alert the authorities if I spoke to him in any way. As if I was harassing him. Except I am not the one who has done some invasive atrocities such as evading the block using another number and asking to unblock original number, calling me randomly and being able to reach me because of technical repair situations, sending me hateful emails or phone calls following the times I wanted nothing to do with him. That is all his doing. I have no reason to ever speak to him at all. He was manipulating me and abusing me for almost 2 years of our friendship, which only ended because he got in the way of a job. Any notion of me harassing him is laughable. Does he have any good proof that I harass him? I stated many times I wanted him gone. Why would I tell him anything? The email was because he called me, hence a response. I warned him about the police, because clearly he is the one trying to override boundaries. I do not work for or with him. He is not family. He is not my landlord. He is not part of any city/state/federal government or law enforcement. Most important of all, he is not my boyfriend. And I never gave any consent to be his boyfriend or was even aware at all of any relationship with me and him. Even if I was his boyfriend and he tried to get in the way of my job, I would have cut the relationship off and be clear about it to him. I also have no legally binding contracts with him either. He called my number to insult me weeks after I told him, and I quote, "Please never talk to me again." Very first line of the texts. Also, keep in mind, he lives a few blocks away from me. It is CancerChaser who has problems ignoring me, thus justifying the need for law enforcement. Something tells me that at the very least he knows he is doing wrong himself and using that in an interesting way. That will also play out again. Afterwards, I was feeling scared for my life. CC injected himself into my life, and now that he knows he cannot have me, he might go and possibly kill me. What else was the purpose of his verbal abuse? I had nightmares, night terrors, sleepless nights, panic and anxiety attacks, all kinds of symptoms of fear from this man. After all, he called me during an unguarded moment when I was busy carrying on with my life moving on. I had no knowledge that his number got unblocked and only answering a number I did not recognize. His location of where he lived alongside the fact that he used a different number to call me before to evade my blocking does not help either. Eventually, I told some of my closest friends about CC's actions. One person, who I will dub AA, decided to speak out about this. Seeing the context of what happened and how I was feeling, he tried to spread info about this situation on several groups. As far as I know, I only know about the posts that was posted on groups. Going to be honest, I did not like how he handled the situation. He was very hasty when posted about it. But AA had good intentions, just needed a bit of guidance on how to handle these situations. I was able to get the post he put about this situation. Here is the post with a redaction of CC replacing his real name.
I honestly did not want to post this, but this is a serious problem. CC needs to stop stalking a specific person that I need to keep private. He was told never to talk him again September 27th, and yet he kept calling back at least twice. He has 2 numbers and he used them to stalk his prey. If he keeps trying to stalk this person again, police will be called. I need to bring this up because CC is a persistent stalker and his actions caused panic attacks and loss of sleep for his target.
The quoted post was in the opinion of the individual I dubbed as AA. CC found this message. But did he contact AA? No. He blocked AA with no word to him. Instead he sent me an email about it. He harassed me again. Keep in mind, I did not post that message. I also did not send him anything. No contact from me. CC sent me an email over a message about his harassment of me and how he needs to stop that. This email is one of the most vile, yet revealing emails I have ever received. Here is a link to it, but I will save covering it until the ending parts of this chapter. Let's just say there's a reason most of the previous chapters and this one have instances curly brackets appearing during specific crucial moments of CC's actions. It is leading to this email. Moving on, I took the emails and the texts and brought them to the police. I told of the context, and they told me to go to a different office. I went to that office the next day because it was closed by the time I went to the police. The next day I was simply given papers and told to fill them out and come back the next day to present them. I talked to my family about this situation, and they told to not pursue him over this because it was too expensive and time-consuming to handle a potential court case regarding CC's harassment. I had to let the reporting go. One of the things CC likes to brag about is how he was there for me when I was possibly going to be kicked out of my home and how I threw myself on the floor. I did the same thing when I went to see another friend in her home. Only this time CC was the problem. He truly sees himself as invaluable, even though other friends did the same as what he did, only without the abuse, manipulation, harassment, trying to get in the way of a job, and the claims he made in the latest email he sent. My friend simply told me to ignore CC and try to forget about it. Now it is time to expose CancerChaser for everything he did to me and to prove what kind of a person CC truly is. The email link again? Tell your friends or whoever to stop posting beep about me on Facebook. Coming from someone who called my number after I cut contact with him, told him I want nothing to do with him, and then blocked him. He reaps what he sows. If he did not want this, then he should have not tried to call my number to abuse me. Have pent-up aggression? Take it somewhere else. Vent. I never wanted to hear from him about anything he had to say. He forced himself on me with the phone call I never wanted. A call that was blocked until a transfer did not transfer over the blocked number list. What gives him any rights for him to do this? I do not try to contact you, nor do I have two numbers. Wrong and wrong. Here is the most relevant definition of contact in regards to this context.
Communication with someone, or with a group or organization.
And here is communication.
The process by which messages or information is sent from one place or person to another, or the message itself.
Calling my number is contacting me. And he knows it is my number. That is definitively a try. And the October 4th attempt was also that, too. And it does not help that he sent me an email, which also is contacting as well. In regards to a post about something he did, by someone else. As stated before, he did not speak to AA. He went directly to me. So yes, he did contact me and did it again. Since this is after I told him never to talk to me again, that is harassment. And he did it twice over. And about the two numbers. According to this, which was found by searching for CC's real name, CC apparently does have two numbers. Even if he did not have two numbers, it does not change the fact that he used a second number to evade my block and stalk me. Using a second number to evade a block would logically conjure the assumption that CC would have two numbers. He indeed used them to speak to me, especially in an invasive context, asking to unblock his first number. I'm going to call the authorities if this garbage continues. If that is directed at me, then it is an empty threat. What does he have to press charges at me? I did not post that message. Does he have the means to pay his lawyer to sue me and go to court? If it's for AA, then CC should be sending him the messages, not conducting harassment at me. I sent CC nothing after the email where I told him to leave me alone. If he went through this toothless endeavor, I don't think it would go far. Now for the final line that truly exposes CC for what he truly is. I was a good friend to you, but you were not to me. This is what he has to say to me after nearly 2 years of knowing each other. That he was at his good level of conduct and I never even came close to making him feel good at all. Either that or he effectively erased all positive things I ever did for him and rendered them as null and void while pretending he did exceptional things. Now to recap the actual context and the reality of our relationship. What he did for me, he initially reached out to me, not the other way around. 1. After 4 months of what I understood was a friendship, suddenly insinuating that we were in a relationship without my knowledge of this status. Being unclear about it until right at that moment. 2. Started lashing out at me harshly through text just because I suggested a phone if he could afford it. Thinking I am insulting his wealth, when actually speaking from a poor perspective and not knowing anything about his financial situation. 3. Threw a fit at me in public just because I did not have disposable time for him. Then made me nervous enough to have nervous laughter, and he took it as me laughing at him for his feelings. He also asked me for $30 as a response to me asking if I can make him feel better. 4. When asked about his teeth, he responded angrily about it. Did not back off after I told him that I was taken. Kept the interest going knowing this. 5. Became jealous when I treated a friend who I knew much longer than him with less anxiety and thought the way I treated him was exclusive to him. 6. Initially reluctant, I talked him into playing a 10-minute game with me just to leave halfway through. Tried asking him again but with no avail. 7. Called me with another phone fully knowing that I blocked him and asking me to unblock him. This comes after a fallout between us involving messages and emails. Used emotional manipulation of my loneliness to coax me into unblocking him. 8. Got in the way of my job by trying to take scheduled time away from it just for his own pleasure and with no regard of the importance of my employment. Trying to use emotional manipulation with implying that I don't like him anymore. 2.1 And he has told me that he works. 9. Called my number at precise time for the sole purpose of throwing profane insults at me. Many days after I told him to never speak to me again. To be generous, here are the good things he did. He gave emotional support sometimes throughout our friendship. He never stole from me. What I did for him, came to see him at his home when he wanted prior to 8. A. Gave him a birthday present complete with a card. $. Did it again next year. Squared. Relay tons of emails of pictures that he asked for. That he went out of his way to call me for that. 2. Gave him a lanyard that he simply abandoned in my home. Now I turn to my followers and everyone reading this post. Considering the context above, I will leave you with one open-ended question. Was CancerChaser truly a good friend to me as he insisted?
Comments.
According to CancerChaser, gifts like this matter nothing to him. He is an ungrateful disgrace to humankind and gay people above all else. Fuck this inhuman scum of a man.
No. 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 He has no fucking right to call himself a good friend. Good friends do not leave halfway through Kirby Superstar. Good friends try to give back or at the very least help out the best they can, especially after they get a gift for their birthday, which is what CancerChaser failed to do. Emotional support? Strangers give out emotional support, too. CancerChaser is truly a fucking clown who uses people and cares literally nothing for them. Preventing jobs and now this shit with the harassment and the fucking nerve to say that Will Artens Club was never any good, when in reality, he gave him tons of patience. He is full of shit.
No. CancerChaser was not a good friend at all, ever. He was being a scumbag leech who wanted to fuck Will Artens Club and could not compromise at all. He needs to rot in hell. Will Artens Club, you were actually good to see, it's just that he will never recognize that. Because as you found out, he cares solely for himself and nobody else. He cannot value a single person out there. He is basically a fucking disgrace.
The same scumbag who refused to finish Kirby Superstar has the fucking nerve to say he was good the entire time. He is a liar and a fucking irredeemable piece of shit prick. Fuck this CancerChaser scumbag. And that he was never even a good human being. Let alone a good friend, as he puts it.
By the way, CancerChaser was never good friend at all to Will Artens Club. He used him all the time and did jack shit in return.
Is he serious? Absolutely fucking not. CancerChaser is a selfish, scummy load of shit. You cannot honestly call yourself anything a friend after pulling shit like this. Clearly you got to him. He was so upset about your final rejection that he felt that had to send you insults. Pathetic of him. He must not stop thinking about you. What a piece of shit human Cancer cunt is. I met douchebags in real life who do nothing but be assholes to me, and they can consider better friends than this CancerChaser shithead. Not to mention, him trying to use the cops is ridiculous, and just him saying me too, but carrying no weight because unlike you, he has no proof.
On what fucking planet? On what fucking dimension? He is the opposite of a good friend. The man has it backwards.
Definition of good.
Good, of a favorable character or tendency.
Definition of friend.
Friend, one attached to another by affection or esteem. Acquaintance. One that is not hostile.
Does not fit. He is full of crap and fails drastically.
Fuck no, 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 fuck no. In a weird parallel mirror universe, yes. In real life, no.
No. He was using you. He is just salty you fucked his ass up for trying to stop you from your job. Fuck this CC shit brain.
This man is just unbelievable. He makes me sick. So ridiculous what he did to you. I seriously hope I am not associated with people of his ilk. I am nothing like this CancerChaser person. I wish he was straight because his behavior brings so much blight to the LGBT community. Yuck. Calling people to yell expletives at them is stupid, and now wants the cops on you after he did that. Even stupider. Then he asks you to leave him alone when you never said anything to him and he called your number to harass you. Horrendous man he truly is. Loves how he denies that he tried contacting you, too. And after everything you did for him, he says that you never good to him. That is very contemptible and revolting to the highest degree. I guess you are only a good friend to him if you surrender your entire life to him, because not even a job that you have to do is good enough for him to understand. He truly is a selfish creature and a parasite with a human body. This CancerChaser guy is doing something called projection. He is taking his own faults and placing them on you. It is clear, with evidence on your side, that CC is the one who never did any good for you and hindered you while you did so much for him that could not do himself. And he also wanted your body as well. He valued you for that. Seriously, do not take CC's words to heart. He is a narcissist who would be saying to you, good or bad depending on his feelings. Saying all those emails he demanded from you suddenly don't count as good deeds proves his malicious and mentally sick attitude he has. He was not a good friend to you. He never wanted friendship from you. He wanted you to be his boyfriend. Seriously, I do not wish to have me or my sexual preference to be associated with this travesty known as CancerChaser. He is not representative of the LGBT community. And as gay man myself, I denounce him greatly.
CancerChaser is not a good friend at all. CancerChaser is pretty much the worst chubby chaser in the entire world. Asking favors all the time and later saying that they don't count is just wrong. Very wrong.
I agree. Yes. If he feels that way, then to him he was good to you and you were never good to him. That being said, what prescribed medicine is he not taking for his abundantly apparent mental condition?
Of course not. He is so full of himself. He thinks he is the best person in existence, and anybody who does not what he wants is a piece of shit. His parents must have never taught him anything. He is a fucking narcissist. Anybody who actually thinks he is good or in the right is mentally challenged or sucks CancerChaser's dick. He does not deserve you. He does not deserve a single friend ever. He deserves to be alone for the rest of his life. He is a redeemable scum.
No. CancerChaser is scum. Not friend.
All CancerChaser cares about is exclusively himself. This is proven by his actions trying to prevent Will Arton's club from getting into his job. No friend does this. Very reprehensible. He has no right to call himself a friend to anybody.
Here is the rundown. Constant bullying. His friend asked for money, would not actually return simple favors after receiving tons of favors on his side, try to steal a day from his friend's job for his own sake, using emotional manipulation, calling the former friend who wants nothing to do with him in harassing ways, and after all of that, he has the gall to say he was the good friend and that everything he was not good enough. CancerChaser is not a good friend, he never was. He was a leech. I am very much a guru of friendship, and CancerChaser was clearly being a using manipulator for own sexual pleasure. He takes but never gives back. Horrible monster he is.
Obviously not. Emotional manipulator for sex. Also, he is doing projection. Clear signs of sociopath.
No, he is not even decked friend. The CancerChaser man is a manipulative stalking piece of shit. He deserves no sympathy. He deserves no love, no friends, no partners. He is a human version of a monster. The man was an awful person and should have been pursued with legal action, but I understand the money situation of not being able to.
Anybody who tries to manipulate others out of money has no right to call themselves a friend. CancerChaser is a straight-up enemy.
Seriously, this guy basically way worse than Joffrey, Walder Frey, Euron, Ramsay, Cersei, and Olga T. Villians. Because this CancerChaser man is a real person who actually abused and manipulated people. This man is exceptional scum.
CancerChaser is very wrong. All he cares about is his own sexual pleasure and would do anything, including destroying other people's lives, for own desires, and only his desires matter to him. And he is obviously projecting. The favors he asked for are very easy to do, and yet he never thanked his victim for the help he received that he begged for. He has no right to say he was any good to my friend. Clearly CancerChaser is the bad friend, and there is evidence supporting that. The large amount of emails laced with attachments is proof enough that he is so full of lies. And also, for leaving halfway through a short video game segment and doing nothing with the controller, CancerChaser lied about wanting to play, which makes him an even filthier liar. Anyone who agrees with this CancerChaser is either a liar, a troll, a lover of his, or just as sociopathic as he is.
Wait, he wants to call the cops on you after he called your number to harass you. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I think he is that a word.